Toss aside the touchy-feely notions of love in business and recognize the real power it holds. Welcome to the Love is Just Damn Good Business podcast with host Steve Farber. Drawing on his work with a wide variety of companies from the Fortune 100 to smaller family-owned businesses, Farber shares inspiring interviews with business leaders and proven strategies for how you can create experiences that your customers will love by developing a culture that your employees, teammates, and colleagues love working in. Discover why and how love, at the end of the day, is just damn good business for you too. Here's your host, Steve Farber.
Hi, this is Steve Farber, and welcome to another episode of the Love is Just Damn Good Business podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. This podcast is brought to you by the Extreme Leadership Institute. You can visit what we do at www.extremeleadership.com. We are a company that's devoted to operationalizing love, energy, audacity, and proof in companies around the world. My guest today is Justin Joffe, who is the CEO and co-founder of a company called Henry the Dentist. Now, I know you're probably a big fan of visits to the dentist's office, as am I. I look forward to it more than just about anything. And of course, I'm being facetious. Justin is going to tell us the Henry the Dentist story and what is it that makes them unique and different in the world of dentistry. But just to give you a little context for who Justin is and what the company is about, the idea for Henry the Dentist started in 2016, and it was derived from the personal frustration of the founders, who are Justin and his wife Alex, and their experience in the difficulty in trying to find a doctor, an optometrist, or a dentist who took their health insurance and who also worked hours that would fit in their very busy working person's schedule. So they saw an opportunity to improve the way healthcare, particularly dentistry, was being delivered. So they joined forces with their longtime friend, Dr. Jeffrey Rappaport, and they founded Henry the Dentist. 1 year later, Henry saw its first patient, which was on September 12th, 2017 in New Jersey, and they haven't looked back. This is a very interesting and unusual, not only approach to dentistry, but a really fantastic culture, to the point where in their corporate office, the words "be kind" are written for everybody to see and as a standard for everybody to live up to. So I'm sure you'll enjoy my conversation with Justin Joffe. Justin, thanks so much for being here with me today. I look forward to hearing the Henry the Dentist story, as well as the Justin Joffe story. Let's hear both. So, yeah, go ahead.
In the words of your book, I mean, they're kind of one and the same. So it's really an extension of me. So happy to tell you the story of me and Henry and a little bit of both of us.
Great. Excellent. So let's start with the concept of Henry the Dentist. And then I want to hear a little bit about the story. There's got to be a story behind the name of the company. But let's start with the concept. Tell us about the company.
Sure. So Henry the Dentist, we provide on-site dental care for employees at large corporate offices. So, the idea really came out of sort of my own needs as a typical consumer. I'm a healthy young guy. I take care of myself. I go to the gym, but I can't really honestly tell you on a public podcast when the last time was that I went for dental cleaning. And I, like many others, just haven't found the time to really take care of preventative health. It's something that we push off, but everyone has teeth. Well, most people have teeth, and most of them have most teeth. So we all have dental needs. It's something that you need multiple times a year, and your needs actually go up over time, but your time availability goes down as we get older and more mature. So we're more likely to have senior careers that are more difficult to take time off. We're more likely to commute for work. We're more likely to have changed cities or jobs with different plans. Our dentist may have retired, and we have kids at home that we don't have the time to go and take care of ourselves when we're taking care of our kids. So really the idea for this became out of the movement that healthcare will start to become something that gets delivered when, where, and how people want. We've seen the consumerization of so many different industries, and then the dental industry has really remained pretty stagnant, fragmented, and unbranded. So I'll tell you more about my story and my wife's story, who I started the company with. But we really come from a brand and retail experience background, and we wanted to make the dental experience more consumer-centric and more convenient.
So from your own experience, you said something like, I'm not going to tell you the last time I went. For me, I may be an exception to the rule, but I so look forward to going to the dentist. No, I'm kidding. So basically what you're saying is you saw this gap. There's obviously the need for easy dental care, and there's this demographic of folks who, if your client, this is what I'm inferring from this, if your clients are primarily large corporations, right? These are people that they're working really hard. They know they have to go to the dentist. They don't have time. So you're bringing the dentist to them, right? I mean,
exactly. That's exactly right.
What does the model look like?
Yeah, so we don't charge employers. So we go to the likes of Unilever, Walmart e-commerce, Audible, Merck, Allergan, Novartis, major employers that have 1, 2, 3, 4,000 people per site location. They're campuses. Or in New York City, it's maybe 200, 300 people in a particular office building. And we are in network with all the major insurance carriers. So the big issue is about 50% of people have dental insurance, and the majority of those people get it through their employer. So it's kind of like a wrapped-in benefit. You get your Cigna, Aetna, MetLife, United, Delta Dental plan. Your company provides you with healthcare, and maybe they tack in dental. Most people sign up. They don't even really know what they actually have. So we really fit into the existing ecosystem for a company. It's a great way for an employer to have a no-cost employee benefit. It helps to utilize their existing plans. But to your point earlier in that statement that you enjoy going to the dentist, the CDC put out a report that about 40% of people have not gone to the dentist in over a year, and we call that the undented population. In the world of DIY healthcare, where really a company basically says, here is your Cigna or your Delta Dental or your Aetna plan, now go out and figure out how to use it. So go find an in-network dentist, go figure out how to navigate these portals, figure out what you're covered for. We really want to evolve that into in a way where consumers have choice, and different people engage with healthcare differently. So there are many people that don't know how to do a DIY. So by providing an on-site solution, it's increasing the available options for an employee or a patient to get access to the healthcare that they want to use.
All right. So when you say, just to be clear, for somebody who's never heard of this concept before, I was in that category until recently, what you're saying is, and tell me if I have this right, that if I work for a company that you're serving, I can actually potentially walk down to a floor in my building.
So we have mobile vehicles. It is a fully outfitted, state-of-the-art, high-tech mobile dental practice. We've fully custom-built a 38-foot Winnebago shell into a 3-chair operatory dental practice. It is basically the equivalent of a brick-and-mortar dental practice, but delivered on 4 wheels into the parking lot of a large employer group.
Yeah.
So we would typically come on site about once a quarter. We'd maybe stay there for a week at a time. We have an associate dentist, a dental assistant, 2 hygienists, an office manager, and we can do everything that you would get in a regular dental practice. We can do cleanings, exams, fillings, crowns, night guards, Invisalign, whitening, everything that you would have, and it's in a state-of-the-art high-tech practice. So Steve, picture this in your head. You got massage feature dental chairs with Bose noise canceling headphones. You get to watch Netflix and HBO while getting your teeth cleaned by an awesome hygienist with top 40 music playing, and it's all covered by your insurance, like you would if you had to spend 4 hours going and commuting to an old style practice with carpeted floors and paper offices. There's nothing more convenient and nothing from a better brand experience than experiencing Henry the Dentist in your parking lot if you work at a large employer group.
That's really amazing. So I'm thinking, massage chair, Bose noise canceling headphones, great service, all covered by insurance. If we can take the dentist part out of that and have it all be covered by insurance, that would be really cool.
Coming soon to a parking lot near you.
That's right. So you're not a dentist by background or trade or schooling, are you?
No. So I started this business with my wife. Both of us have a lot of consumer retail backgrounds, and I'll tell you more about that in a sec. And we also partnered with a third member of the team, our dental director, Dr. Jeffrey Rappaport, who's a close friend and a dentist. So we brought, dental on Dr. Rappaport's side. My wife, Alex, who started with me together, she had a long career building Dry Bar, which is a hair blowout brand, and wore many, many hats there as director of marketing partnerships and training and opening up new locations. I was most recently running a retail beauty company. And then before that, worked with my father in an educational company doing online e-learning. So sort of had a history of some family relationship businesses, history with retail, having raised some funding from venture capital and private equity investors. So I really focus more on, longer term strategy projects, capital raising, operations and finance. Alex, my wife, really works more on the consumer brand, retail, front end experience. And then we have our clinical director that oversees the medical side of the business. But the impetus for this came out of a pain point as a consumer, being the target customer of Henry, and then building a team around me to really, fill in those gaps that, knowledge that I didn't have.
I like your choice of words when you say fill in those gaps.
That's good. I'm going to keep that. I'll give you credit. Every time I use it, I'll give you credit.
We filled in the gaps when it comes to filling in the gaps. So where does the name come from?
So while we're on the topic of my wife, it is actually her favorite name for a child. And we both said this is our first baby. As a startup company, you know that you live and breathe and sleep your business. It's expensive. It keeps us up at night. It has teething pains. It is basically like our first child. But in all seriousness, from a sort of brand perspective, we wanted to build a brand that was approachable, yet still professional, that was fun and playful. So much of dentistry is American dental New Jersey practice of Dr. Joe. Right. And we wanted to really redefine the dental experience for patients. We are a B2B brand, so we have to be professional and elevated to large employer groups. And a patient is really trusting their healthcare with us. So we have to make sure that from a healthcare and clinical perspective, we are absolutely top-notch. We have experienced providers. We have top-of-the-line technology. We spare no expense. But it's really the brand experience from the first time a patient interacts with us on a website to the emotional feeling when they walk up to the practice with music playing on the outside, to the smells and scents inside. It doesn't smell like a dental practice. And we have a lot of fun at the word Henry. Our logo is an upside-down crown, molar in the shape of a crown. So we have a lot of puns around dental crowns and royalty. We use a lot of that language throughout our branding. And we've taken what used to be a very stale and stodgy industry and made it fun and approachable, yet still professional. And Henry, for us, stands for that.
Great. All right. So let's use the name of the company as a doorway into the company itself. I would love to hear a little bit about the culture that you guys have created already and where you see it going. So let's start with just the nuts and bolts. So how many employees do you guys have right now?
We're currently at 75.
75 employees. And is there a difficulty in recruiting dentists for this? Because it would seem to me that, if I come out of dental school, for example, the traditional path is I'm going to start my own practice, or I'm going to take over a practice, or I'm going to buy a practice. What are the advantages that you're offering to a dentist to come work with you guys versus hanging out their own shingle, as it were?
Yep. So a couple of buckets of things you hit on. One, culture, and then two, sort of recruiting and retention and attraction. So part of the mission of starting this business 0 to 1. So I've worked in many businesses over the last 15 years. This is the first where I really started from scratch on a piece of paper where I said, I want to build in the right industry with the right business model, right investors, team, culture, everyone in the company that I truly believed in something that I want to spend the next 10, 15 years building. Part of the objective of building this was not just to change the dental experience for patients, but to really change the dental experience for providers and dentists. So can we build a culture and a company that on its own can actually be part of the reason that we're able to attract, keep, retain, and grow our talent inside the company? There's sort of two schools of thought. You're like the Richard Branson approaches, which I think is much more in your camp of focus on your people and then they will deliver a great customer experience, versus the Steve Jobs of build a great product, work your people to death, and the customers will be there because you have a great product. I'm definitely more on the, if you take care of your people, they will take care of your customers. Those customers will come back and you'll have a wonderful business. So start with your people through how you recruit, how you train, how you develop, how you promote, how you incentivize, how you take care of them emotionally and financially. So that was a very important part of the overall structure of how we approached culture. We have 3 core values at Henry. These values are not just words that we stick up on a wall. These are from 15 years of experience in living, breathing, dreaming, sleeping, the good, the bad, the ugly of business. The first core value is be kind. Just be a good human being. That means having good energy, positivity, positive attitude, working well with others. That's like your soft skills of how you do what you do. The second part is be exceptional at what you do. So it's all good and well if you're a really nice person, but you also have to be good at your job. You have to do accurate work. You have to be attentive to detail. You have to have strong communication skills. But if you have great communication skills and you're really good at your job, but you're horrible to work with, ain't going to work either. You really have to have the combination of the two.
When you say it's that combination of kindness and competence, being really good at
effectiveness, more than kindness and competence.
Yeah. So the first place I went to, and I was thinking about that, was for your dentist team, right? And so it's kind of obvious there because, if your dentist is really nice and they hurt you and screw up your teeth in the process, that's a deal breaker, right? But what you're saying is, if I'm hearing you correctly, that's true for whatever you do in the company.
Absolutely. If you're an office manager and you don't bill accurately in the ledger, if you're a marketing person and you have a spelling error in an email that goes out to 3,000 people, if you're in operations and you didn't fix the piece of machinery properly and the vehicle's down as a result, if you're in customer service and you don't know how to turn on your Zendesk or turn off your Zendesk so no one actually can get through to you on the phone, every single role in the company, you have a job definition and job description to be effective at what you do. The cultural piece is, do you have positive energy? Do you care? Are you nice? Do you have empathy? Do you have the emotional intelligence on how to communicate and use sort of chameleon skills in how you handle a situation to EQ? But your competence is vital in every single role. Otherwise, you can't build an effective, high-scaling, fast-growing company. The third value, which I haven't talked about yet, is act like an owner. So the first two will get you to get a job and keep a job. The act like an owner is how you grow within the company. So acting like an owner is thinking outside of your four walls of your role and thinking broader to say, how can I improve the business today? How can I improve my role today? So I wake up every single morning and I say, what is the thing that I can do that will most affect the value of the company today? So how do I want to use my time to be most productive and most impactful? Sometimes that's a very minutiae detail of the business. Sometimes the most effective thing I can do is physically be in the field. Sometimes the most effective thing I can do is really to solve one specific problem at a very granular level. And sometimes the best thing I can do is get out of the way, let the organization function without me getting in the middle of it, and go figure out the next moonshot of where we should be as an organization in the next 3 to 5 years. And same way with every single person in their role. If you're a director of marketing or operations or finance, if you're a customer service representative, if you're a manager of an event team, if you're a hygienist or a dental assistant or an office manager or a doctor, how do you take the best practices of what you've learned in all of your other practices that you've worked at, bring them into Henry, and also be open to the idea that we could be doing things a little bit different to the industry that are actually really good for the overall way that we should be going about running this business. So if you combine being a good, human, kind person with being really good at what you do from a technical, tactical perspective, and you think outside the box and you act like an owner, that to me is a winning combination of an A player on the team.
So do you look for those characteristics in people starting with the interview process, the hiring process?
So we've taken those core values and we've flown them through in every cycle, from recruiting filtering to the interview questions to the onboarding process to the 90-day reviews. And we further involved those in promotions and integrated it with rituals. So I'm a big believer in rituals in sort of building and sustaining culture.
So give us some examples.
So every Tuesday morning, we have a town hall call. Communication structure is really important for everyone. So not having meeting fatigue, but also making sure that you don't have a siloed organization. So what is the right frequency, duration, cadence, and attendance for those different meetings, and what format, whether it's in person or virtual, by video or by phone. And a mix of those is appropriate for different people, different departments, different seniority. So we have a diverse workforce over 4 different states. So we're based in New Jersey. We have operations in Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, and Georgia. And these little teams of 5 in every individual mobile practice can feel very isolated and not really connected with the thread of the culture that we're building centrally in our corporate office. So for one, I use the word corporate there intentionally, but we don't use the word corporate as a company. We use support center. So our support center supports the field. They don't work for us. Like, we're not directing them on what to do. Our job is to make them as effective as humanly possible. So we call our central functions a support center. So on that Tuesday town hall call, which everyone dials in 8 a.m., we start off with shout outs and celebrations and birthdays, anniversaries, promotions. Then we go into our KPI drivers of, where are we at on a performance basis. We go through major announcements. But the shout out section highlights someone that has demonstrated one of those 3 core values at an exceptional level over the course of the last week. So our doctors, and I'll get into the doctor recruiting and retention piece in a second, we really want them to be leaders of their practice. So every week they submit nominations for shout outs, and they'll say, hey, this hygienist, last week we had a patient in the door who was really fearful of the dentist. This hygienist held their hand. They really took their time. They walked through the experience. They really demonstrated kindness at an exceptional level. So we want to call out the value of be kind with this hygienist and this patient. Someone else did a great job, marketing at a event table to bring patients in the door, and they exceeded their number and set a new record. That person's exceptional in what they do, and it's an example of that. So we really thread those values through promotions and rituals and shout outs and town halls and everything from recruiting all the way through to terminations and promotions. We really embed that, and we don't just stick it on words on the wall.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You also do stick the words on the wall. One of the things...
It's true. We do have it on the wall.
Yeah. One of the things that caught my attention about Henry the dentist was, obviously, what my bias is, given that the name of this podcast and the name of my most recent book is Love is Just Damn Good Business. And there's a great picture on your website that the words on the wall are... these are a little hard to read. I'm looking at it right now. We are what we do.
Yep.
With the words be kind written over it. So I looked at that and I said,
very good, Steve. Very good.
That's my kind of company right there.
Very good. That's in our customer service center, pasted on the wall. Yeah, you're 100% right.
So, well, I guess the point, well, it wasn't very hard. I'm just looking at the picture. But my point is that what you guys have done is taken these 3 values of kindness and being really good at what you do and acting like an owner. And instead of what a lot of companies do, which is, laminate them on wallet-sized cards and hand them out to everybody and then write them on the wall, and then that's it. You're asking the question, what if we really believe in these things, if they really are values, they should also be operating principles, which means they should apply at every level of the employee experience and the customer experience. So what does it look like? What does kindness, competence, and ownership look like at every level of the process? And when you're translating that into action, you're reinforcing it through those rituals, and you're putting it on the wall. So when you put it on the wall like that, which is, again, to reiterate, as far as a lot of companies will take it, but once you put it on the wall, really, you're putting, kind of mixing metaphors here a little bit, you're writing it on the wall and you're putting a stake in the ground. And you're saying, look, we're publicly declaring that this is what we're all about. Therefore, you employees, you customers, have permission to hold us accountable to this.
Absolutely.
How do you deal with the gap between the intention and the behavior? So let's say, we're not living up to it in some way, or we're getting feedback that suggests that we're not. What happens then?
So we have a lot of trainings and team meetings. At one of the most recent all hands, we bought the book Radical Candor for everyone in the company. Kim Scott, I'm not sure if you read that. Wonderful, wonderful book about how to have difficult conversations. And a lot of people confuse the word kind with soft.
Yes.
I am not soft. I'm a very nice person. I'm a very kind person, but I am not soft. And I have a very high bar for output and expectation and quality. And I will have no qualms with having that conversation with you. I'm not going to scream about it. I'm not going to throw shit at you. I'm not going to sort of act out of turn as a bad person. I'm going to have an honest conversation. I don't use the parenting, I'm disappointed in you, because I think that's condescending. I just have a real conversation of say, look, this is the work output. This is what it should be. This is what it is. Do you see the gap, or how would you have improved that? How can we make this better next time? Just talk to people like human beings. Don't talk to them like you're their boss or their manager. Just talk to them with respect, but have the honest conversation to hold them accountable to the standard that you're setting. When someone's not self-aware, if they're not self-aware enough to either understand the feedback, if they're defensive and they're arrogant in their ability to hear and act on that feedback, or if someone doesn't know how to deliver the feedback, that's where you have a problem. So sometimes when someone's defensive about feedback, it's not the person who's defensive, it's the person who's delivering the feedback. They actually don't know how to effectively deliver the feedback. But then everyone's default is, oh, that person's defensive. Well, maybe it's because you had the wrong time, the wrong message, the wrong medium. Your intent was good, but actually the problem was the person giving the feedback, not the person receiving the feedback. Sometimes it's the person receiving the feedback, that they're not self-aware, they're arrogant, or So I think the art of building and sustaining this culture is having that EQ to know the difference between the two. Don't be soft, hold your team accountable, have the honest conversation, but don't be condescending, don't overly formalize it. You don't have to create a 90-day PIP, for every action. Take quick, regular, constant feedback. And the more feedback you give and the more real it is, the easier it is. It's no longer a big deal. It's not a big deal for me to tell you, this could be better. If I do it only every 90 or 6 months, then yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a really important point. I want to shine the spotlight on here a bit. We have this tendency, when I say we, I mean the broad we, the cultural business we have this tendency to equate kindness with softness. And of course, even more so with the word love in the context of business. It makes people squirmy because they're afraid that means like, I love you, so do whatever you want. It's okay. And nothing could be further from the truth, because really what we're saying, right. And it's interesting, one of the ways that I've tried to help people understand what love looks like in a business context is almost verbatim to what you just described. It's kindness combined with high expectations. So these kinds of qualities and characteristics and attributes of positive human relationship, words like kindness and love and compassion and empathy and all these really important words as far as our human experience goes, when put in a business context, actually raises expectations and raises the bar, doesn't lower it. Because if I really love this place, if we're really being kind to each other, if we're really acting as owners, that means that our standards go up, not down.
100%. And people respond well to it. You'd be shocked at how well people respond to good feedback delivered well. A lot of managers, especially new managers, avoid conflict. They want everyone to love them. So it's more about people loving them than the demonstration of the love to the company. So people want to be liked, especially if they are promoted from a lateral position into a new manager position, or they're a new person in the organization brought in from the outside. They want to be loved themselves. And that is a very selfish kind of, I don't use the word like emotionally weak, but it's kind of more like a self-preservation, right? Like I want to make sure that if my job depends on other people liking me, I will be therefore more successful. And they avoid conflict.
Right.
So it's super interesting. We just rolled out performance reviews. And all of the first effort performance reviews of people to give them of their direct reports were all like 5 out of 5 because people
right, because it's kind.
They need to reset right. They need to reset the bar on quality expectations. Understand that having a difficult conversation is not being kind. It's actually the opposite. By not telling someone honestly what you expect and not helping to coach them to be better, you're actually not being kind at all. And in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I'm probably going to look to replace this person because they're underperforming. So that's not kind. Kindness is having the difficult conversation with someone to actually get them to a place where they are performing to your level so they have more job security and they get promoted later down the line.
Yeah. When you and Alex first started thinking about this company, you had this idea and you started to build the company. There's something you said that I believe is really, really critical that, in my experience, most entrepreneurs overlook. And that is, from the very beginning, not only did you have the concept for the service and the product and you're developing the brand, but you had very clear expectation from the beginning that culture was something that you had to build right from the start. Whereas a lot of entrepreneurs don't even think about it. They're very enthusiastic about the product or service that they're offering, which they should be. And then, they get the ball rolling, and then they bring in, and pretty soon they have employees, and they actually have a customer base. And then they look around and they're like, wait a minute, what's our culture? And the fact of the matter is that culture exists everywhere. It's not like you're creating a culture that wouldn't have existed, that without putting attention on it, you won't have a culture. You always have a culture.
Right.
The question is it the kind of culture that's going to serve what you're trying to do as a business, that's going to attract the right kind of people, the right kind of customers, and give you a basis from which to grow? And you guys did that right from the outset, if I'm hearing you right.
Well, I think part of it from the experience you've had is both Alex and I have seen companies with turnover. And turnover is very costly, very costly. You not only lose the institutional knowledge, you have the cost of rehiring, but the cultural and emotional and performance impact of the remainder of the team after that person's left has a significant impact, short-term and medium-term. So we were really, really thoughtful about saying, if this person's going to join our team, firstly, the first few hires impact culture more than anything, but every employee at every time, at every stage affects culture. So you want to make sure that everyone you're bringing in is consistent with those values, and you don't have a hodgepodge of people with a hodgepodge of values that you're kind of, hoping that luck will be in your favor and that they'll all kind of form into a culture that you hope. You want to be prescriptive about who you're hiring and who you're bringing on the team and how you're holding them accountable from day one. It's very hard to reset expectations later. But we were trying to think about the next stage of the company's growth before we hit it. So I'd rather, a lot of early stage companies and entrepreneurs tend to hire kind of cheaper labor in the beginning, be more penny wise, pound foolish, to be perfectly honest, and hire, utility players across different roles. I would much rather suck it up and be the person that covers 3 functions and only hire the one rock star in the one function that I really need right now, and then hire the second rock star in the second function and then the third rock star in the third function, rather than hiring like a generalist that kind of can half take off 2 to 3 of the functions from my plate. I'd much rather get to the breaking point where I've really, really got to bring on someone in ops and really got to bring someone else in finance. But day one, I got to have someone in marketing. I'm going to hire someone in marketing. They're going to be a rock star marketer, and they can grow with me for the next 3 to 5 years. And then slowly, one by one, you pick your department, you bring that person on, you grow and mentor. Don't hire utility players that are not going to grow with you for the next 3 to 5 years, because the turnover will suck and it'll be really expensive.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at where we are today. And then I'd love to get an idea of where you're headed in the future with the company and what your aspirations are with that.
Sure.
So at the time that you and I are having this conversation, we're right in the midst of this, coronavirus quarantining whole thing. So I'm curious how you guys are navigating this, and what role, if any, are the Henry the Dentist values serving you in this current challenge?
Yeah. We had a very, very difficult decision to make when this all hit. So the CDC and the ADA basically shut down our business. We're viewed as non-essential. We can see emergency patients here and there, but that's not anything at the scale of 75 people. So we had a very difficult decision. How much do you look out for your employees, and do more of the sort of Starbucks, ultra benefits versus being a responsible stakeholder and custodian of the bank account and making sure that we don't run out of money and don't have a job for people. So there was a fine line. We did have to furlough a significant portion of the team. So we furloughed effectively the entire company, which really sucked. But I think we did it in a very responsible way. So we gave very healthy severances. We helped them with unemployment insurance. We had town hall Zooms and meetings. We received thank you cards and thank you notes from people on the team, handwritten thank you cards for having given a severance, the way we did it, the kindness that we exercised, but we acted swiftly and boldly to protect the company, because otherwise we'd run out of money and we wouldn't have a job for people when they come back. So if we want to truly be in the same ways, kindness is sometimes doing the difficult thing, protecting the company for their job security is the right thing to do. We gave as much as we could while still being reasonably responsible. We spoke with our investors and our board about how much severance and how much payout and what roles to keep and what levels. And we had to make the very tough call. It's honestly forced us, though, to rethink the business on the relaunch and how to be leaner and more efficient and launch some new innovations As they say, pressure makes diamonds. And we're hopeful that during these times of uncertainty, we can take this moment of pause to really rethink the business and how we relaunch to make sure that we're leaner with the right people and the right retraining and the right JDs and the right redefinitions of roles, that everyone comes back with clear understanding. This is the team. This is the business. We're back in action. Henry engines turn back on, and we're gonna keep moving forward.
And are you doing any ongoing communication with the folks that have been furloughed?
Legally, you're not really supposed to do much other than a return to work update. So we still keep our rituals. So whether people are checking their emails or not is up to them, but I still send out a happy birthday email for anyone's birthdays, happy anniversaries for anyone's anniversaries. We still get a lot of reply alls. We do another ritual in the company we do an end of day closing report of every practice at the end of every day. We have huge reply alls from everyone about shout outs and birthdays and celebrations, anniversaries. It's called out on the town hall. So we're not stopping the rituals. All we're doing is basically updating people on the return to work date, any changes between what they left and what they're coming back to. But other than that, we have to respect the furlough.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Now, looking ahead to the future, when we don't know what the new normal is going to be, we can guess that it's going to be some combination of the way things were pre-virus with some changes. But let's assume for a moment, because I think this is right, not just because I'm a perpetual optimist, but we'll be back in business, right? So let's assume for a second we're back in business and you're back to doing the great work that you do. What is your vision for the future of Henry the Dentist? Where do you want to take this? And is there a grand design, a bold vision? Or is it a day-to-day sort of a thing?
So I put out this theory that a company should plan as far into the future as the age of the company. So if you're in your first year of building a company, you should really be focused on the next 12 months, like laser execution on a week-by-week, month-by-month basis. If you're Amazon and you're 10 years in, you should be thinking about how to get to Mars. And so basically, the more mature a company is, the further out it's responsible to start to plan. So this is our third year of operation. I'm definitely my mind's in the 3-year plan of where do we grow. We have a pretty good operation, day-to-day, well-oiled machine. I know that I can literally not be there and the business functions well day-to-day in the core business. So I'm really focused on leadership, boundaries, incentives, communication structure to make sure the core business is as efficient and lean and pushing us forward as fast and as best as possible. And then what is the 3-year expansion? So which markets, which products and services? The dental market is a $130 billion category. There is a tendency when you get momentum to start to get distracted. Most of our investors and most successful businesses I've seen have really been vigilant with focus, making sure that you know what works and repeat that thing, but test very quickly and cut your losses very quickly on things that do not work. And once you find that one thing that does work, that's what you go double down, triple down, quadruple down. Because starting a business from scratch is really hard. Finding product market fit is really hard. Finding an economic model that scales is really hard. So the probabilities of you finding that is infinitesimally small. Once you found that, that's it, buddy. Know when to fold them and know when to hold them. And when you hold them, you double down on your winners. So we are, for the next foreseeable period of time, going to be thinking about state expansions, our brick and mortars, Henry in the boardrooms, carrier partner relationships, expanding our dental services, dental products, dental insurance, everything that is in this world of delivering on-site healthcare services to large employer groups. And we are at the forefront of elevating that brand and distribution model. And we've got a long way to go with what we figured out to build a sizable company that can stand on its own 2 legs and think about the next innovation thereafter.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Justin. There are a lot of bits of advice in the story that you just shared with us. Advice certainly for entrepreneurs, certainly for people who are entrepreneurs of early stage companies or in the conception phase even. Some great things to anticipate. Is there any, if you look at your role from a leadership perspective, both as being the co-founder of the company and also in the role that you're playing right now, is there any, I was going to say one piece of advice, but that's way too simplistic, any little capsule of leadership advice that you would give to any of us, whether we're entrepreneurs or working in a Fortune 500 company?
Yeah. So I follow the CEO of Walmart on LinkedIn, the size of Walmart and its scale. And He often regularly posts about him in certain stores with certain employees, with certain customers. I've had many coaches in my day, from my father, who's been an incredible coach and mentor for me, obviously since born, but really in my professional business days, being a wonderful coach and mentor. I have a professional coach that I speak to every single week for an hour as a CEO of a healthcare company. I've had some investors over time. One of them was a CEO of a major retail business. And he told me the piece of advice that I'm going to give now as my single piece of advice, which comes out of all these things, from watching Doug, the CEO of Walmart, through to CEO of retail business. Never lose sight of your customer. At the end of the day, whether you are a one-person company with $1 of revenue or 1,000 employees or 10,000 employees, at the end of the day, your business is an accumulation of individual customer transactions and experiences one by one. And the moment you lose touch with the ultimate customer and your product experience at that customer level, you're done. You can never be too big, too bold, too senior, too on your own boots and sitting on your own pedestal to be very in touch with your customer. Once you lose touch with that, your business is done.
So when you say you should never lose sight of your customer, you mean you collectively and individually. So you, CEO of Fortune 500 company, should never lose sight of your customer. And so it's not just the role of the person on the front line in that so-called customer service role, but all of us need to keep the customer squarely in our...
Correct. If you're the head of operations, if you're the head of marketing, if you're the head of finance, and you have no idea what the customer experience looks like and how it's evolved, how can you effectively market the brand, run the financials, make the system work in a well-oiled machine? You have to rotate through. And that's the way that you're going to be in touch with your team, be in touch with the customer, be in touch with their relationship and interaction. Those individual customer and employee interactions at the front line is the business. Everything else that's done behind the scene, the leadership, the operations, the systems, the financing, it all supports making sure that single one interaction, one by one, over the accumulation of tens or hundreds of thousands or millions, that is a perfect example of the brand that you're trying to build, and everything else should only support that. And if you lose touch with that and how your people are treating customers, the systems, the operations, the experience of that individual one patient, that's when you've lost touch with your business.
Great. Excellent. So thank you for this, Justin. This was a great conversation. I'm really happy to hear the story, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds. So I assume that people listening to our conversation would have the same level of curiosity. So what's the best way for people to keep track of Henry the Dentist and hear your ongoing story?
With the greatest of pleasures. You can find us on LinkedIn at Henry the Dentist. You can find us on our URL, henrythedentist.com. You can follow us on social media at Henry the Dentist on Instagram, LinkedIn, or any social pages. Or you're welcome to find me on LinkedIn as well. My name is Justin Joffe, founder and CEO of Henry the Dentist, and it's been an absolute pleasure being on your show. Thank you, Steve, for the wonderful, insightful interview.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Love is Just Damn Good Business with Steve Farber. Join us again next time, because when customer and employee satisfaction just isn't enough anymore, we are here to back you up with specific ideas to operationalize love to make an enormous difference in your business, personal life, and the world around you. Visit our website at stevefarber.com to leave a review. And don't forget to share the love with your colleagues and friends, because after all, it's just damn good business.